There is nothing Thomas likes more than pulling his faithful coaches Annie and Clarabel up and down his branch line. All coaches, including Annie and Clarabel, have an emergency cable, which sounds an alarm to the guard who can apply the brakes and stop the train. It is very important that the cord is only used in a genuine emergency. One day, Annie and Clarabel were watching the passengers at Knapford Station. Suddenly, they saw a familiar face. "Look, Clarabel, it's that man again. With the binoculars? That's the one, yes." The man with the binoculars had boarded Thomas's train every day for a whole fortnight. Neither Thomas nor his coaches knew what he was doing. Soon Thomas arrived at Dryall, where the man got off the train. "I wonder who he is. He's been travelling on this line for ages." "Perhaps he's a station inspector." Later that afternoon, Thomas saw the man with the binoculars again. "Hello, I hope you don't mind me asking, but are you a station inspector?" The man was very friendly. "I'm not a station inspector, I'm a bird watcher. A rare bird has been spotted around here and I'm trying to find it." "I should have known, a bird watcher." Thomas hurried along his branch line when suddenly there was cause for alarm. Someone had pulled the emergency cord inside Annie. The guard hastily applied the brakes and Thomas and his train slid to a bumpy stop. The guard went to investigate and discovered the bird watcher with his hand on the emergency cord. "Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I'm a bird watcher and I'm looking for a rare bird. I thought I'd seen it, so I pulled the emergency cord in a burst of excitement. I'm very sorry."
"Seeing a rare bird is not an emergency, sir. The cord is to be used in a genuine emergency only."
And the guard slammed the carriage door. Thomas started off again, but he didn't get very far. "Stop, Thomas! My wheel has a flat spot." Being dragged along with her brakes on had caused Annie to damage her wheel. She couldn't move at all. All of the passengers had to squeeze into Clarabel, and Annie was uncoupled and left behind. Thomas didn't like having to leave one of his faithful carriages behind. When Thomas arrived at Knapford Station, the Fat Controller was waiting for the bird watcher.
"The emergency cable is only to be pulled in an emergency, and seeing a rare bird, it does not constitute an emergency on my railway."
"I really am very sorry. I promise it won't happen again." The bird watcher was given a £60 fine for improper use of the emergency cable, and Thomas had to continue his branch line duties with Clarabel and another carriage, while Annie was sent for repairs. Thomas felt very sad as he puffed up and down his branch line. He missed Annie terribly. Fancy pulling the emergency cable for a bird. I hope we never see that silly old man with his binoculars ever again. But Thomas did see the man again. He was standing on the platform at the next station. "Well, I'm not stopping for him." "But you have to, Thomas." "No, I don't." And Thomas clattered through the station without stopping. The bird watcher was most surprised, but then there was trouble. Thomas ground to a halt again as someone pulled the emergency cable. It was an old man who was not happy at all.
"That was my stop. I need to get off this train. Why didn't you stop?"
I'm sorry, sir."
"This railway isn't what it used to be. Why, back in my day it used to have."
Thomas's driver reversed his engine back to the station. Then the elderly man climbed off the train and the bird watcher got on. Later on, the Fat Controller was waiting for Thomas at the big station.
"You have to stop at every station, Thomas, with no exceptions. That bird watcher should not have pulled the emergency cable, but he apologised and was punished. Two wrongs do not make a right, Thomas."
"I know, sir. I realise that now. I'm sorry." A few days later, Annie returned to service. "Welcome back, Annie." "Yes, welcome back." Thomas had learnt a very valuable lesson and was overjoyed to be working with both of his carriages again.